Hey, it's Andre, and I saw The Batman. The embargo is officially lifted on it, but as of the recording of this video, the movie is not officially out yet, even though they're doing some early screenings for fans, as well as having the movie come out. Basically, what I'm saying is I'm going to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, but I don't know what everyone's threshold for spoilers is, so watch at your discretion. But I am going to talk about this movie and leave out as many things that I think are major spoilers while letting you know what I think about it. And what I think about it is I really like this movie. This is a very good Batman movie. It's a very good superhero movie. It's a very good movie. Batman takes place a couple of years of Bruce Wayne becoming Batman, still getting his footing, still figuring out how to attack crime in Gotham City, and of course dealing with people who some are like, yay, Batman, and others are like, why is this dude running around in a bat suit beating up people? That's our job. That's usually the cops saying that. But Batman's assistance is needed by the police when the Riddler shows up, and he's doing a series of crimes as well as leaving a series of clues specifically to the Batman. So it becomes this whole detective story of trying to figure out who the Riddler is, why is he committing these crimes, why is he attacking the specific people he's attacking. And along the way, Batman meets allies, he meets other enemies, and he starts to learn more about himself, his family, his legacy, or his family's legacy, as well as Gotham City itself. I really love the detective angle in this movie. We always talk about with every Batman movie of like, hey, he's the world's greatest detective. Let's see him do some detective stuff. This movie is detective stuff. This entire film is really a whodunit, solve the case, solve the mystery movie with a detective, but the detective is Batman. It really is focused on what is going on with the Riddler and also what is going on with Gotham. What is the Riddler trying to expose about Gotham? So it's a detective story on figuring out your villain while it's also a detective story of figuring out what's going on with your city. It's really cool. And you see Batman in the center of all of that, and you see him working really hard to try to solve this mystery. And because of this, you see a lot of Gotham City, which becomes a character in itself. And that is helped by the cinematography. This movie is so beautifully shot. Like, it looks so good. Seeing this movie in a theater felt really good because it's a beautiful movie. I definitely would like to see what this movie looks like on a Dolby screen or an IMAX screen. The cinematography is gorgeous. It's PG-13, but it's like a dark PG-13. It really helps to show the darkness and the dampness and the grittiness of Gotham City. It's pretty much stuff that you've seen in other superhero or comic book movies. It's just a little bit edgier, a little bit darker, but because they don't curse a lot and they don't have a lot of sex, it's PG-13. You can punch and kick, just don't say F too many times and don't do F too many times, and you can be PG-13. But that being said, these fights, man, when someone gets punched, whoo, you feel it. It's just like that nice brutal, like you just hear that. The sound guy that worked on the punch sound effects, you should get an award. Kudos to you. And from what I can tell, I'm not a fighting sequence in movies expert guy, but it seemed like that they were good at keeping the camera on a good amount of the fighting, not doing too many cuts. Like, there's some times where you just see a sequence of punches. So I thought that was really nice, really added to the brutality of what we were seeing with these fights. Robert Pattinson is a good Batman. I was never on the concern of Robert Pattinson being Batman. Even though this man has made a bunch of movies since Twilight, people always want to reference Twilight. But the thing is, we've been here before. We've been here with Ben Affleck as Batman. We've been here with Heath Ledger as Joker. We've been here with Michael Keaton as Batman. It's like if they cast him, I'm assuming he's gonna be good, but he is good. The thing about his version of Bruce Wayne is he's not doing that, like, I'm gonna act like I'm a playboy during the day, but then I'm gonna be Batman at night. He's playing the, oh, my parents got killed. Everyone knows my parents got killed. So I'm just gonna not talk to anybody. I'm gonna be like very secluded, very stoic. You can tell that he doesn't interact with anyone because every time he shows up in public as Bruce Wayne, people are like, oh shoot, that's Bruce Wayne over there. Like, he came outside. But what I really like about Robert Pattinson as Batman is he's cool with being Batman. Like, you know how when a star name gets put into a superhero character, particularly one that wears a mask or anything that can cover part or all of their face, they're always like, well, let me figure out how many times I can take this thing off. There are a lot of scenes where Batman is just Batman. He doesn't like take it off, especially when he's doing a lot of the detective stuff. Like, he has to be Batman. So I just really appreciated the fact that there's a lot of scenes of him in the bat suit being Batman. It almost feels like Robert Pattinson is playing Bruce Wayne in a way of like, I'm gonna do this, but I kind of really want to dress up as Batman again. Zoe Kravitz as Selena Kyle, I could watch all day. I can watch it because it's Zoe Kravitz. I can watch it because it's Selena Kyle. I can watch it because it's Zoe Kravitz as Selena Kyle. So while Batman has been around for a couple years, this is definitely kind of like the Catwoman origin story. She's not fully Catwoman yet, but you see all the inklings of it. And the chemistry between Zoe Kravitz and Robert Pattinson are great. I love them both together. They're working on the same side in this movie, but you can tell that they already have different ways of attacking the same problem. They ultimately have the same goal, but they're trying to hit different parts of the same goal. So sometimes they're together, and sometimes they're like, nah, we're going to do this my way. No, we're going to do this my way. Or you in my way. Or no, you in my way. Jeffrey Wright is a great Commissioner Gordon. I loved his character in this movie. I really just liked his performance as that character, and I like the way that he worked with Batman. So just like usual, he's the one that's all like, hey, we should work with Batman, while other cops are like, nah, man, we don't want to work with that dude. He's dressed like a bat. He's crazy. But there's a lot of times when they're going through this whole case that they're working together side by side, and I think that they worked off really well. Colin Farrell was a personal highlight for me, completely unrecognizable as Penguin, and he's a different Penguin than some of the ones we've seen before. He's definitely more mobster Penguin. Like, he even got the take it easy, sweetheart. Oh, hey, I'm just trying to run a business here. Hey, oh, get off my back. Like, he's that type of Penguin. John Turturro is also really good in this. I'm not going to talk too much about his character because I don't think they've shown him a lot in the previews, but I really liked his performance as well. Also, that Batmobile does show up, and when it does, it's very cool, very action-packed, very lively. I really like that. Felt like it gave it a little bit of energy in the movie. Like, the movie is 3 hours long. We've seen movies that have been close to 3 hours with superheroes. We literally had a movie on HBO Max that was over 4 hours with superheroes. So I'm not too concerned about that. It doesn't feel too long to me, but at the same time, it was nice to have certain sequences pop up to just give that energy back after you've done a little bit of detective digging. So you get the like slower scenes of like, let me figure out what's going on with this case, or let me have this very intriguing conversation that may be a clue to something later. And then, okay, we've had that for a little bit. Let's punch somebody. Let's have the Batmobile drive through. So the Riddler, I don't know what to say about him. I don't know how to describe or discuss him. Paul Dano's interpretation of the Riddler is a unique take. Like, it ain't Jim Carrey. You know, it ain't even, was it John Glover that voiced him in the cartoon? Like, it ain't even that. Like, you know how there's some DC villains where you're like, oh yeah, you're a bad guy, but you know, hey, you're kind of cool. I like to watch you. You're fun, even though you're evil or whatever. But nah, Riddler for me was like, nah, man. Like, this dude's disturbing. There's just something kind of like creepy crawly about him. I know that's what the point of the movie is, or the point of the character is, but like, it worked. Because I'm just like, ugh. But it's just cool to see them use the Riddler. Like, I'm just glad that we're seeing some villains that we haven't seen in Batman movies in a while. Like, we haven't had a Riddler on the big screen since Jim Carrey. And we've had the Riddler in, you know, the animated series or in video games. But it was, like, nice to see him in this. It is its own movie. I think Matt Reeves did a good job of directing it. I think the cast is doing great. I think it is a different type of Batman story. But it's gonna be hard not to compare this to the Nolan films. Like, there's certain things that happen in the Nolan movies that are happening again in this movie, just in a different way. I would love to see what a movie like this would be like with something a little bit more outlandish in the world of Batman. Like, how would you have the same vibe and tone, but you do that with Poison Ivy or with Clayface? Or, you know, or with Mr. Freeze, you know, like what would that be like in this world? Like, I want to see some of those out there Batman characters get this kind of treatment and to see how they would do it. I think that would bring something different to the Batman movies, because it's either been super grounded or it's complete fantasy. So where's that nice middle that the animated series gave us? The animated series is really good about taking these fantastical villains, but still making them feel like, no, this is real. Like, this is legit. So I'm wondering how a movie can do that. Something to think about in case there are future movies. And I have a feeling that if this does well, there will be future movies. And of course, there's the question of what does this mean for the entire DC universe, multiverse, whatever. Here's my advice on that. Take it or leave it. Don't worry about that. Just go see the movie as it is. We'll worry about universes later. Just watch the movie as it is, because I think if you just watch the movie as its own thing, it's very enjoyable. It does a good Batman story. And I think, again, highlighting the detective angle on it, the whodunit angle on it, basically being Eddie Valiant dressed up as a bat, I really appreciate that. There's like a riddle weird thing that pops up on the screen at the very end of the movie. But other than that, there's no actual after credits. There is a scene in the movie in like the third act that feels like it would have been an after credits in any other movie. I will not say too much of what it is, but there's definitely something in movie that was like, okay, somebody else would have tacked that in after the credits. But hey, you put it in the movie. That's cool. I really, really enjoyed this movie, and I thought everyone brought it. What I saw was good. I definitely wanted to see it again. I love it like a play cousin. I'm out here 5,000. Take care.